Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mace, just an amateur Canadian coming to you right now on the internet from Western Canada. Yes, Vancouver Island. 7 things about Sweden that would shock Americans. Let's check it out. Sweden, some of my favorite hockey players of all time. Let's see some of the culture shocks that would shock Americans. And yes, I'm American. According to a lot of people, I'm American because I live in the Americas. Apparently, that makes me American. The connotation for American in North America, at least, is somebody from the United States of America. Canadian, you're just going to say Canadian. It's like me calling somebody from Argentina an American, or somebody from, say, what would it be? Like literally any country in Europe, you could just call them European, which of course it makes sense. But anyways, I don't want to talk about 7 things about Sweden that would shock Americans.
It's 5,000 miles in between Sweden and Oklahoma, right smack dab in the middle of the US where I'm from. And after living here in Stockholm for half a year, I have a very long list of things that Swedes do that would probably shock a lot of Americans. But for this video, I'm an American living in Sweden. I used to be a TV news reporter in the US until I moved to Stockholm in April, and now you're stuck with me here on YouTube.
I wonder, what are you doing in Stockholm? I'm curious now.
Number 1.
You're a news reporter in Oklahoma. Now you're in Stockholm.
One on my list is the Shoehorns. Let's just do this first one like a band-aid.
Shoehorns. I love Shoehorns.
We'll get the most controversial thing I'll ever say out of the way. Everyone here in Sweden has at least one or several of these in their homes here.
Good.
And if you don't know what they do, they basically help you put on your shoes.
Look, I've been around the world.
They don't just help you put on your shoes. They help protect like the heel part of your shoe so it doesn't get destroyed when you're putting your foot in over and over again. So it is convenient. It does help you put it on, but at the same time, it helps protect your shoes. And you should have them. I have a shoehorn. Is that a weird thing?
Well, okay. Whatever it is, I'll understand. There is nothing about this I understand.
I think these are overrated unless you're older or physically can't bend down easily to put on your shoes. So you will never see me use one of these, and that's all I have to say about it.
I don't think he understands what it's for.
I must go.
Number 2, when you go to a restaurant in Stockholm for either lunch or dinner, your portion size is going to be the same. And despite that portion difference, your lunch is still going to be cheaper. And it's great. You're basically getting free food. But that's different from a lot of places in America where when you go and ask for the lunch portion, it's going to be cheaper, but it's also going to be a lot smaller than your dinner portion. Number 3 on my list.
I feel like that's somewhat anecdotal. Like it depends on what restaurant you go to. There's some restaurants that have massive portions, right? Some restaurants are going to serve you so much food that you can't possibly eat it, or you're going to eat it all and you're going to be a fat person for that day, that afternoon. You're going to be, that's the old unloosen the old belt, right? And nobody feels comfortable eating you don't usually feel comfortable eating that much. You feel terrible after you do it, but the restaurants still serve it, and sometimes it's cheap. So I think this one's kind of like.
When you go to a grocery store or some other stores in Sweden, the cashier is usually sitting down. And if you're a Swede, you're thinking,
good. They should be able to.
That's common sense, right? No.
We don't have that in America.
For some reason, it's frowned upon for cashiers to sit and work at a lot of stores in the US, and some people get really upset when they see cashiers sitting and working. But don't take my word for it. Here's some proof. I went to Quora, and random Americans are saying things like, "This is not Europe. To sit is to be seen as lazy. Only Aldi cashiers sit in the USA. I am a cashier in the United States."
I would not give two you-know-whats if a cashier is sitting. As long as they're doing their job properly, if they're doing their job, who cares? Let them sit down. Like, why should they have to stand for 8 hours?
For 24 plus years, and in my opinion, sitting on your butt while ringing up people purchases don't look professional. I mean, that's why I don't like Aldi's. Plus, Aldi's is a generic store, and in my opinion, their food is not all that good.
Oh,
and also
America.
my personal favorite, because other countries are lazy and not in the shape, health-wise, as we are. And that one's especially stupid because according to the Bloomberg Global Health Index,
Americans are the worst.
US is the 35th healthiest country in the world. That's behind Sweden,
for developed countries.
And also pretty much every single European country. Sweden is ranked 6th, by the way. All right, number 4 on the list. There are a ton of parents walking around with strollers here in Sweden.
We need to talk about the B-A-B-E-E.
A big part of that is because everything is super walkable here in Sweden.
B-A-B-A-E.
But it's also a really big part of the culture that both of the parents are generally really involved in kids' lives. You can also see that with the really generous paid maternity and paternity leave that's mandated by the government and all the companies are pretty accepting of it as well. Let's talk about
I think we have pretty good mandates for paternity and maternity leave as well here in Canada. I didn't quite understand what the point was here, that you see parents driving around babies in strollers.
the weather here in Sweden. There's a really popular phrase that's, there is no bad weather, only bad clothes. And that kind of hints at the incredibly boring weather here in Sweden. I mean, you have your spring, you have summer, fall and winter here is not the best generally, but I am here to report that there is definitely a such thing as bad weather, and you can go to this entire section of the US to find it. In a lot of the Midwestern US, you're glued to your TV when storms hit. There's nonstop weather coverage.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to live in one of those United States that just gets demolished by like tornadoes every 5 years.
Weather-related TV specials and storm chasers. The meteorologist
Scary.
at the Tulsa station that I worked at was basically a household legend, and I'm not exaggerating.
He is the king of the Tulsa weather scene.
The king of the Tulsa weather scene.
Travis Meyer.
There's Travis Meyer memes like this one, and then there was one that was made into stickers, and then there was this one, and it doesn't even stop there because one business sold these Travis Meyer candles. So people take their storm
Hey, as climate change starts getting worse, prepare for more, everybody. Buckle your seatbelts.
season weather very seriously in parts of the US like in Oklahoma, and since I moved to Sweden, I have not had to look at my weather radar once.
Well, what are you waiting for?
I don't know, something amazing, I guess.
Number 6 on my list of things in Sweden that would be a culture shock to America.
That's like our fall and winter here in British Columbia, or at least where I live. It's very rainy and gray for like 6 months.
Swedes love queues.
Just gotta
There are
dig
a lot
in.
of stores here in Stockholm. Odds are there's probably a queue unless it's a grocery store
They
or
love
another
queues?
small shop. So even if there's nobody else in the store, you should
Oh,
probably
take a
be
number.
prepared to pull a number from a machine and wait until an employee brings up your number. And finally, if you live closer to the equator and have
Honestly, sometimes that's a good idea. I would love to have queues. There's nothing worse than going into a place and then there's confusion about either who got first, who's in the line, like where the line is, like where you line up. It's the worst. So having a queue would be great. And then you can just grab your little ticket and then like get out of the way and then wait. And then you know, okay, I got there first. I had the ticket. Like, queue's great.
have a somewhat normal amount of sunlight at nighttime across the year, then you're going to be pretty shocked when you're here in Sweden. Winter is pretty rough. December 21st is the shortest day here. It has only 6 hours of sunlight, but when you get to the summer here in Sweden, it's great. It's almost never dark. On June 21st, the longest day, there's more than 18 hours of sunlight.
Darn.
It's nice. I think this might be it. Wow, hey, look, you got...
That's crazy. 18 hours of sunlight.
My channel, it really helps me out. And if
So a lot of those things I didn't really find shocking. Shocking. All right. See you on the next one. I'm Mace. Make sure to leave any recommendations, comments, things like that in the comment section. And like and subscribe. Cheers.